Hello, I'm Paul Wilson. In this video, we're going to take a look at call rerouting on the Mitel 3300. In the System Administration tool, call routing, call handling, and call rerouting. Now, call rerouting is basically a means through which we can automatically reroute calls that are presented to a given directory number and reroute the call somewhere else on the system, or even to the outside world via a speed call number. It's pretty handy for automatic diverts to voicemail systems, out of hours routing to external numbers, and so on. On the call rerouting form, you can see down the left hand side here a list of all the extension numbers and ungroup numbers, ring group numbers, and so on that are on our system. You'll notice the screen split up into these columns: call rerouting day, call rerouting night 1, night 2, call rerouting do not disturb type, first alternative, second alternative. Basically, these individual entries here are slots against which we can program call rerouting numbers. If we look at the first three, call rerouting day, night 1 and night 2, these are what we call call rerouting always alternatives. You can see an entry there for it. We'll go to that form in a minute. I'll show you how to configure them. And again here, this column, call rerouting first alternative relates to this one, and call rerouting second alternative relates to this one. Let's find an extension number. I'll use my extension as an example. Extension number 1111. You can see everything in the first three columns is set to call rerouting always 1. But in this column for call rerouting first alternative, notice it's set to a 2. Let's have a look at this in more detail. The call rerouting always alternatives effectively always apply the call rerouting to the extension. So if someone was, for example, to dial extension 1111, the system always goes to the call rerouting slot number 1 and will present the call to whatever number is assigned to slot 1. So let's go to call rerouting always alternative. You can see against slot 1 there's no alternative number programmed. It says it's set to no reroute here. However, against always alternative number 2, we have programmed it to reroute, in this case to extension 7000, which is basically the voicemail group on our system. Before we go on, very important to remember, never change always alternative number 1. Basically, because the system defaults to sending every extension to call rerouting alternative 1, if we change that, we will basically have the effect of rerouting every number on the system by default to whatever we program against always alternative slot 1. Not a good idea to change it, hence why we restored them at number 2. So we can see here, basically, call rerouting number 2 is set to reroute to voicemail. If I go then to call rerouting, go to my extension, click change, and enter number 2 for day, night 1 and night 2, click save. Now when anybody ever dials my extension, rather than the call ringing my desk phone, it will basically reroute the call to the voicemail system. I won't get any indication the phone's ringing, the call will just go straight to voicemail. I'll just undo that, set that back to 1. Now, more useful probably to us in this case is a call rerouting first alternative. You can see it's set to 2 on my phone. What basically that does is, when someone dials a directory number, the phone will ring for, by default, 15 seconds, and then the system will reroute the call using call rerouting first alternative. If we click on it, we see the help text. Basically enter a first alternative number that points to an entry in the call rerouting first alternatives form, from where the first alternative answer point is defined for each originating device and intercept type. Effectively what that's saying is that when the call rerouting first alternative timer expires, the call reroutes to the number programmed against this slot. Let's have a look at first alternative forms. First alternative number 2 is set to reroute again to voicemail. Now you'll notice the number of columns here is slightly different than the always alternative. Basically we can specify call rerouting for different types of incoming calls. So if we look at this, for example, if the extension is busy or in do not disturb, then it will reroute. If the call came in on an internal call, from another extension and my phone's busy, it will also reroute. We could actually set up a slightly different one here, purely for internal calls. Say this, and for no answer again, for internal calls. Direction number 7000. Now, if I program call rerouting first alternative number 3 against my extension, the system will only reroute the call if it was an internal call to my extension. But any external calls from direct dial trunks, from tile lines and from analog trunks, the call won't reroute and it will wait for my extension to become free. Using that mechanism, we can actually program some fairly complex call routing that's fairly invisible to the end users, and it's pretty handy for rerouting calls from busy hunt groups, rerouting calls to voicemail, rerouting calls to external numbers for night service, and so on. If we need to change the timer that the system uses for call rerouting, it's basically the call forward no answer timer in the class of service. Let's go to System Properties, Feature Settings, Class of Service Options. On our demo system, most of the users are using the Hot Desk User class of service, so we'll change that one. Then if we scroll down this list, we should see the timer for call waiting. See, we've got the call forward no answer timer there, 15 seconds. If we change that, then basically whatever we change that to is what it will use for the call rerouting first alternative timer. Let's go back to call rerouting. Quick note about the second alternative timer. Basically that kicks in a number of seconds after the first alternative time has expired and the call hasn't been answered on the first alternative destination. To be fair, it's not as often used, but it's there if we need to. You see, we've got a number of pages showing all the extensions on the system, and as I mentioned, not just extensions but hunt groups, ring groups, and some other numbers are defined in there. Let's go back to always alternative. Quick note on what we can enter as a destination direction number. This basically has to be a direction number on the system. For example, we can't program an external number into this form. I'll try it on number 3 just to see if it works. But set these to reroute and try and program an external number in. Click Save. Notice it won't let me enter any more digits than the 7 it's let me type in, because it has to be a direction number. If we want the alternative reroute to be an external number, what we need to do first of all is create a speed call number for it. So System Properties, Feature Settings, go to the System Speed Calls list, add a speed call number. I'll use 5600, enter the number. So speed call number 5600, click Save. Back down to call rerouting always alternative, slot number 3, set it to reroute, and then enter speed call number 5600 and click Save. Now, when I assign call rerouting always alternative 3 to a user, when that user is dialed, the system will actually reroute the call to the external number. Obviously, the class of restrictions need to be set as appropriate to allow it to do that, or we need to enable override toll control on the system speed call to bypass any of the class restriction checks. If you'd like to know more about this, please feel free to visit our website and contact us on our normal telephone number, and we'll be quite happy to go through it and give you a demonstration. Thank you.